Hello, I'd like to show you how to use Preburner in the follow-up builder that's contained within each of your campaigns. So the first thing I'd like to do is take you into the sales rep campaign that I have here in this test account, and we're going to click on edit. Now keep in mind that I just now made this campaign and I've used all of the default fields that Preburner provides. Obviously you can always clone over once a campaign is active or used. You can clone over different aspects of it, but just to have a nice jumping off point, I'm going to use the defaults. So when I click on Follow-Up Builder, we'll do another video about how to do the actual campaign itself, but what I'd like to show you now is the jumping off point of using the default fields of the Follow-Up Builder and then how to go from there. So you can see here that right now this campaign has two status options. One is a new submission and two is the rejection. Now obviously you're going to need more statuses than this, but this will give us enough to discuss how it works and then we'll create from there. So when a campaign is first submitted, it will always jump into the new submission category, and you can open up that accordion and see right from the accordion that you could delete this step, but that this step is a follow-up email. And this step is set to send an email. That's the action. It will do it immediately after 15 minutes. So that means that we're going to start immediately, count 15 minutes out, and then we're going to send it. Now, who is this going to go to? Right now, nothing is selected. So we need to select the applicant email. Now you'll notice that unlike most drop-down menus, this did not go away when we clicked on it. We actually can keep selecting people. You see the check mark there when I clicked it. But if I wanted to carbon copy myself on this, I could actually click myself and you'll see that I'll get carbon copied on that particular email. Now I don't want that to happen every time an application is submitted that I get all of their thank you emails, so I'm not going to do that. And then all I'm going to do is just mouse off of it and click. So now it's going to go just to the applicant email. So if the applicant gives me their email, they'll get an email from this. Now the from emails will all come from different people who are on your team. Now in this test account we only have 2 team members, so I can select one of those 2 team members to be the sender of the email. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at Steve, and then by default the subject says thanks for the application, but you could change it to say whatever you'd like. Now in this area you can see here that it says hi applicant first name, but it's surrounded by these curly braces and it's got a period in the middle. And the reason that it looks like that is because we're using a merge source. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that away, and I'm going to pretend that this email does not have any merge sources in it at all. You can see there's no more curly braces and no more funky looking stuff in here. Well, the way this works is that if you wanted to manually put that in, you could say hello, and then right where you would normally put their first name, you're going to go down and you're going to click first name. Now you can see that where my cursor was, I had put a space there, it automatically inserted this merge field, and I put a comma after it. So now this will be replaced with that. Now if you can see that you have several different merge fields, so you can use their address, you could use their full name, their first and last name, talk about their city. So if you said I can't wait to hear what it's like to live in space, and then this is where you would type the city. So you would just say city, and I actually shouldn't have put that extra space in there. Now you can see that it will come in and it'll actually use their city. So that's how you use merge sources. You just put your cursor where you want it to appear, you select one of the merge sources, and then it'll automatically enter it in. Now obviously this email is not coming from Kurt Kimpton, it's coming from Steve Smith. Oops. And you would probably maybe put, if you want to put a contact number or something like that, you could do that. You can customize this email to say whatever you'd like. But at this point, once I click save, that email is now the live email that will go out to new applicants 15 minutes after they submit for this particular campaign. Now, we also have the ability to change the status. So you can see here, we could delete this step if we want, but you can see this isn't sending an email. This is actually going to change their status. So in the case of this one, if somebody is in a new submission for 20 days, we're going to wait 20 days, and then at 1 a.m., we're going to change their status to rejection. Okay? Now, obviously, we only have 2 options to pick from, and we wouldn't change their status probably back to this one, although we could if we wanted to. But that is how that works. Now, let's say you want to add another step. Let's say that we wanted to add a step, and you can highlight this and say, call this, we want to hear from you. Okay, so maybe that's what you want it to say, is the name of the step. And then you can say that's going to send an email, and we'll do that 10 hours, or do you want to do 10 days, right? Let's just say 10 hours after the new submission step starts. We'll choose the applicant emails, who it goes to again. We'll send this one from Jesse, and the subject would say, tell us your favorite color. And then you would send the email and type it out however you choose. Again, you have your merge fields and all of that. Now, I'm going to delete that because that's kind of silly. We wouldn't want to do that. But in the rejection, you can see that 1 hour after their status becomes rejection, they're going to get the status of, or they're going to get an email that will go to, we need to select their email address, and then application follow-up. Here's kind of a default thing that we put in. You can read that and change it as you want. Again, if you wanted to add steps, you could. But I just noticed that 1 hour after the status is started, this email is going to go. So we want to go back to new submission, and we don't want to be sending out emails at 1 hour after 1 a.m. We want to maybe set it up to go 1 hour after 9 a.m. And that'll probably look a little more legit. So once we've got everything the way we like it, we can click on Save. Now, these two aren't going to work very good if this is all the automation we want. So I'm going to click on Adding a Status, and you'll see that now we have a new sequence, and I'm going to click on that little Edit button. Now what that'll allow me to do is to first give it a title. I'm going to call this Offer an Interview. Now, you have 2 options. You can choose a present date or a future date. A present date means that the moment the status changes to this, it begins its flow. A future date is something I'm going to show you in a little bit, but that's if you're scheduling something out into the future. And it'll make a lot more sense in just a second. But let's first make a status called Offer an Interview. So I'm going to save those changes. And then Offer Interview, Step 1. I'm going to call this, would you like to interview? Email. Okay, so we're going to send out an email with this, and I'm going to send this out 2 hours after I change their status. If you choose days, then it's going to ask you what time of day you want it to send. But I'm going to do this 2 hours after, and I'm going to send this again to the applicant, and then I'm going to send it from Steve, and I'm going to say, would you like to interview? And then I'll type up an email that would invite the applicant to come to an interview. So I'd say hi, and then I would grab their first name, and I would say, we really liked your application, and we'd like to meet with you in the near future. Now you might say an actual date and time that you want them to come out, and you're going to be offering interviews. Interviews will be offered on this date between this time and this time. Claim your time or something like that. Whatever you want to have in this interview, but you're going to close it out and say, thank you so much. Now, that's a great status that'll work really good for being able to move to the scheduling point of the interview. But now we need to do an interview that will allow us to, or a status I should say, that will allow us to schedule the interview and maybe send emails before or after the interview happens. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to create a new status, and I'm going to call this one scheduled, interview scheduled. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to choose the future date. And this one means that we're going to be moving in relationship to the date that the interview is scheduled. So save changes. All right, now this step, you'll notice is a little bit different. This one I'm going to still send an email, but you'll notice that when I do this one, maybe this one I do want to use an immediate email, and this will be the email that goes out right after I hang up the phone. So I'm going to use immediately for this one. I'm going to send this one to the applicant, and maybe I'll carbon copy Jesse and myself both on that one, because these are pretty serious. Now I'm really wanting to hear on this one. I'll send this one from Jesse, and we can't wait to meet you. Okay, and in this status, you might say, it was a pleasure talking to you on the phone. Obviously, if Jesse Jane normally would speak with someone over the phone to schedule the interview, then you would set it up like this. But I'll say, I put in that merge field of the first name. Phone today. We can't wait to see you at the interview, but let me know if you have any questions before we meet. Here is my contact information. Now, in this case, you might put your contact information and sign off. All the best, Jesse. Okay, so maybe that's what you're going to do for that. Now, let's say that you want to send another email, though, that goes out. Send out an email that goes out 3 hours before the interview is scheduled to take place, and you want that to come from Steve, and you say, see you in about 3 hours, and then you would type up an email about that, right? And then let's add another step that said, sends an email. Let's say this one sends out 4 hours after it's scheduled. This will again go out to the applicant, and this will be 4 hours after the interview is supposed to take place. So in this case, maybe you would say, it was great to meet you. And then maybe this is where you tell them when they can expect to hear back on your decision or whatever. And then I'm not going to do it right now, but you get the point. We could add another status called no-show that we would want to change it to. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then let's go in and actually look at how it would look for a person who was getting these applications. The first thing we need to do is we need to actually, this is a very broken, I told you I hadn't even created this one yet, but we need to create an actual applicant. So let's put that in here. Okay. This one we'll go ahead and record a video here. And here's my video. And okay, so I'm going to submit the application. Okay, so now we actually, when we go to the dashboard, we'll see that there's a person here. And now we can start changing some statuses. So in this case, if we go to new submission, you'll notice that we have the option to choose rejection, offer interview, or interview scheduled. And we could have no-show, and we could also have onboarding and all sorts of other types of things that might make sense there. So as you look through here and you start making comments on someone, maybe you'll go in and you'll enter a few notes about them and finally come to the decision, this is a great applicant, let's go ahead and meet with this person. So instead of rejection, as you might imagine, if I choose rejection, it'll automatically start queuing up things to happen for the rejection letter as all the others would. We can go look at that by just going to follow up and seeing that new submission, there's a thank you email scheduled to go out, and then a rejection status change that's going to happen after a period of time. Now, we don't want that to happen. We want to actually offer an interview to this person. So I'm going to click on offer interview. We're going to confirm the status change. It'll refresh the page. When we go to follow up, we can see that none of these went out because we changed the status before we had a chance. So now you can see the would you like to interview email is scheduled to go out. Now, let's say that we offer the interview, we get in touch, and we schedule up the interview, and I say, okay, great. When I click that, I'm going to need to choose a date and a time for that particular interview. So let's say that interview is scheduled for Monday the 30th, and we're going to meet at 8 a.m. So I'm going to click apply, confirm status change, and now when we look in follow-up, you can see that they're going to get 3 hours before 8 a.m. They're going to get an email, the 3-hour email, and then I believe we had it set 6 hours. Yeah. So after we've had a chance to, or no, I'm sorry, 4 hours, wasn't it? So they're going to get an email at noon. That will be that follow-up email. Now, this is the email that's scheduled to go out relatively quickly. I think we had it set for 15 minutes after. So this will be kind of like the, hey, we're looking forward to meeting you. Here's my contact information. We set all that up. And that one's not really related to anything other than the start time. That was an immediate one of the status. But these are all in relationship to the date and time that we chose, the schedule time. So you can see they started running the status at this time, but it's scheduled to take place at this time. And you can see the way that their different steps are working off of different dates and times. It's a little bit on the complicated side, but it's pretty smooth once you've done it a couple times and the workflow goes in. So obviously we might want to have other statuses. So the interview is scheduled, and then maybe they're a no-show. So before they get that other interview saying we're glad to have met you, you'd want to change their status to no-show and stop the other follow-up and start the no-show follow-up. Or maybe during the interview you make a bunch of notes about the person and you enter them in and you're still kind of thinking. Maybe you're going to change, it wasn't such a good interview. You make a couple changes about the status or the average rating. And maybe you move them to rejection now. And if I do that, and I confirm the status change, goes back into play, you can see that they're into the rejection status, and I believe we had it set for about 1 hour of wait time, and they'll get the rejection email. So, and you can actually even see the email that they're going to get, and you could even edit it specifically for them if you chose to do so. So when you go in here, you could actually click in, make changes to even things that have stopped, and decide to trigger the step right now if you wanted to. So lots and lots of flexibility, but keep in mind that everything will run until you either change the status, or if you stop all of the status follow-up, or you stop individual emails. So that is how all of this works. And keep in mind that even though it's really, really sophisticated, once you set up any follow-ups, when you go to create a new campaign, let's go ahead and create one right now. I'll call this test. And we can say we're going to start everything from scratch, but you'll notice that when you get to the follow-up area, we actually could use the exact same follow-up from sales rep. Go to the next step. We'll give Jesse some access to this campaign. Once this step is all created, when we go to the campaign, you'll notice that in the follow-up builder, all of our steps are there, and you can see that all your text and the people who are going to be carbon copied, and everything is a great jumping off point. So just keep that in mind as you look at spending time in this automation, and as you make new campaigns, you can still kind of piggyback off of a lot of your boilerplate text. I hope that helps. I'm really excited to hear how this works for you. So feel free to always drop us a line if you ever have any suggestions or any awesome stories you want to tell us about. We look forward to your success with Preburner.